everyone, and welcome to the premiere pilot episode of Not Coming Soon, where we share with you the fabled movies of tomorrow. In other words, we pitch movies that we come up with that will not be made, but nonetheless make us happy.
We can't stress enough how this won't be made.
It is 100% not coming soon. Unless you love it and know people, we're open to talks.
As you can see, we're very polished and professional. Ryan has taken a big old swig of a glass ice water.
Also, my computer is standing on the top of my dresser, and I'm standing here. So we have a very professional setup and feel, I think, which is really what we wanted. That was the intention. Well, now I'm self-conscious. I don't want to take this sip of my water anymore.
Hey, stay hydrated. We cut it in post.
That's a good point. And otherwise, how would I be able to plug my awesome Jurassic World coaster carved out of the mountains, the volcano of Isla Nublar?
That our mini listener can see.
Oh, I want to. Jeffrey gave them to me as a gift, so.
Speaking of Jeffrey, my name is Jeffrey Myers.
And my name is Ryan Myers. Jeffrey does make a great point that we were intending to introduce ourselves, but kind of got lost there. I think you're going to find that's going to happen quite a bit on this show. Not a lot of attention to detail. Except for when it comes to our plots, though. We are going to be meticulous in our writing style.
And speaking of our plots, do you want to explain what you mean by that?
Every 2 weeks or so, one of us is going to bring to the other host an idea for a movie. And we're going to have a 5-minute spiel of what that movie will entail without getting too incredibly deep or complex. We will announce it to the other host and work with them to develop it, come up with ideas, endings, scenes we think will go well with it, and then we're going to cast it. We're going to cast the Not Coming Soon movies.
That's exactly what we're going to do, and we're just going to have a grand old time doing it.
We're going to have a great time.
Before we get into it, though, what have you been watching?
Last night, I watched Matchstick Men, and I loved Matchstick Men. I dare say that's Nicolas Cage's best acting performance, mayhaps. I don't know. What do you feel? How do you feel about that one? Is it a hot take, cold take?
There's such a range of performances to choose from. Have you seen Pig?
Oh God, what is it?
You've got to see Pig, man. It's so good. It's amazing. Honestly, I saw it in the theater.
Oh, cool.
But it is a beautiful tale. People keep saying it's like John Wick, but it's not like John Wick. It's like if you just look at it at the face of it, it's like somebody steals Nicolas Cage's truffle pig, and he goes out in search of his truffle pig. And I guess you could say it's like a revenge movie, but it's not. It's a beautiful tale about...
It's about love.
Yeah, it is. It's about love, it's about food, it's about passion.
About food? Is he a chef of sorts?
You've just got to watch and find out for yourself.
I will do that.
That is an incredible Nicolas Cage performance.
What's his Oscar? Is that Leaving Las Vegas?
It is, yeah.
You watched that recently, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, it's.
What were your thoughts on Leaving Las Vegas?
Well, I mean, if you watch Leaving Las Vegas and take into consideration that they gave him an Oscar for that performance, I don't think that we can fault him for any of the character choices that he makes for the rest of his career.
Well, you could say it like that, where that inspired his future film performances. Or what you could say is that he has always been that way, but people thought it was an act for Leaving Las Vegas. The most convincing act you've ever seen. I wasn't necessarily speaking to him as specifically for that, but I was just like, the movie's out there.
It is.
Yeah, so what about you? What are you up to recently?
Watched a good amount of movies this weekend, actually. I'm just going to give a little rapid fire of what we watched.
What better way to spend your Labor Day weekend?
Yeah. We watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh.
Les Mis.
Oh.
And we watched last night All the President's Men.
How's that?
It was riveting. It was great.
I don't think I've seen that.
No, it's great. There's some really interesting shots, just like camera angles and exposures that they do.
Interesting, like 100% fisheye lens and no sudden moves.
Not quite. I actually listened to an interview with Steven Soderbergh about that, and he was just
Didn't realize the cap was on, so.
no. He said he looked for the right lens specifically to kind of take people out of the experience, so kind of making people kind of feel a little not uncomfortable with it, but removed.
The only thing was, it's just that was a bit tough to watch for, like, that's a long movie. It was over 2 hours. Not, like, exceedingly long. Looking at something through the fisheye lens.
It was a little jarring.
It's a little jarring after so much time.
A little too wide for me. So do you have a movie to go through today?
I do. There's this narcissist living out a penthouse in San Francisco. Right, what you know. He basically gets to go through life. Everything goes right for him. He never really has to actively work for anything. Oh, to the point of something's amiss. It's too coincidental. People are putting too much emphasis on him. People he doesn't necessarily interact with a ton or know specifically, know intimate details of his successes. And his job is basically just a good talker. Okay. He makes deals. It's never super sure what these deals are. He convinces these people to join. Not like cultish join, but like mergers acquisition type thing.
Okay.
So anyway, one day he's thinking somewhat critically. He doesn't usually, because he just accepts all this, even though to the average humans it's not normal. So the day starts with him knowing that he has to go to a meeting, but he sleeps in because he's like, they can wait for me. I'm all that matters anyway. He gets there, and as he's going, he's outside the conference room, and it's that opaque, translucent glass where you can see the silhouettes on the other side.
Right.
And so he's like, I wonder what they're saying. Maybe it's about me. So he stands outside and is like watching, kind of has his ear to the glass, and nothing's happening. It's totally silent. Nobody's moving. And he's like, that's kind of odd. He does it a little bit longer, and nothing. Some people even seem to be like mid-motion. Finally, he opens the door, kind of brushes it off, doesn't really care. He gets inside, he makes this big pitch to have the other company join the lifestyle of their company. Just like, this is a status symbol being in business with us. No real specifics, no terms, no numbers. And all of a sudden, this company that was on the fence is like, let's do it. After that meeting, he walks out and he's like, I'm going to go to the break room. I'm not just going to go back home. I'm going to see what's going on over there. And he flings the door open, and there's a slight but very noticeable pause of everything that's going on in this break room, like a glitch. It kind of seems. He notices that it's starting to get to him a little bit, but it still hasn't really cracked his like, I'm superior. This is just. It hasn't cracked his cool exterior. Right. So he thinks about it for a second, kind of brushes it off, and he's like, I'll just leave. So he starts to leave, and then he's like, I'm going to go out the back way. I usually go out the front, but I'll try the back way this time. So he gets to the point, he's like kind of back part of the building, and the details on the walls and paintings and stuff start to blur. It's kind of like, almost like pointillism, or just like pixelated, really. And so he's trying to leave. He goes that way, and it's getting grayer and grayer. And then he turns into this room where it's like a focus group, like a testing thing. So there's this room, a two-way mirror, and then a test going on inside. Right. He opens the door, and he can see through the two-way mirror that people are like dead still, and the people on the inside are like very shocked to see him there. And so they like try to start cover up the mirror so he can't see what's behind it. And then they start talk to him about the deal he just made upstairs, which is like, how would they have heard about it? It just happened. So this kind of is getting to him. So he starts trying to run out. He goes back down the hallway that has the details messed up. And so he ends up going out the front door and heads back to his apartment. And on the way back, it's also a thing, it's a crowded street, but no one bumps into him. They're bumping into everybody else, but he's kind of got this like, it's just like this bubble around him that people don't penetrate. And so he lets that weird stuff from the building, he kind of just brushes it off again. He goes back to his like normal state, gets into his lobby, and the elevator's broken. And he lives like up on the penthouse floor, so he's like, no thank you. So he walks over to the reception area, and they're just replacing the cables. There's only one cable connected, and there's like usually 6. They explain that in an elevator, which is true, each cable has the strength to hold up the elevator, but there's 6 of them just for like safety purposes. Like obviously you want to have that extra support. So
This
he's like,
level of detail is phenomenal.
oh, but I'm leaving some stuff out. So they're like, he's like, okay, can't I just use the elevator, just me? So there's hardly any weight. It has enough because you said the cable has enough strength on it. She's like, seems apprehensive to let him do this. And he's like, call the manager of the building. I want to be in this elevator. And meanwhile, there's a janitor who's like forcing his cart into the elevator into the stairwell. This guy's having to do this, but
Okay.
this guy's not. Long story short, they let him use the elevator. It gets near the top. It stops on his floor, and the cable snaps. He starts plummeting back and is thinking about the day, how everything seems to work out for him, how it literally seems like the world is revolving around him specifically. Like in this specific situation with the cable snapping and his death imminent. Like perhaps there's consequences to taking advantage of that kind of thing. It crashes. We cut to like an analyst and a doctor in a room, like Anna talking about the situation like that just happened with this guy. And so the guy's like telling him, he's like, can you finish rendering that back hallway? Because that wasn't supposed to, the like pixelated hallway.
Right.
Without being too specific, this doctor is like designed this experiment simulation.
Uh-huh.
This guy's actually like a narcissist, and this is like treatment to like overstimulate the pleasure they get from approval and praise and all that. And then it ends with the camera panning, and there's a two-way mirror, and you see the main guy, his name's Jack, and he's like passed out in this simulation. But then it's like kind of cheeky because he's not moving at all, and there's the two-way mirror. And so they say that they can't get the program to react correctly if the subject isn't looking at them. And with two-way mirrors and the opaque, like if he's not watching them actively, they are in basically pause.
Okay.
So then that's this last thing, that he looks through the two-way mirror at his subject, because he gets kind of hyped about the fact that his test worked and how genius of a scientist he is. With the guy not moving in the other room, it could be passed out, could it be that he's in the simulation himself, not being able to perceive like the guy that's laying down because he's not moving, looking
Right.
through the two-way mirror.
Right.
Thoughts?
Oh, that's the end. Okay, cool.
That's the end.
Okay. Okay. So I see. Let me give this a little thought. So let me do a little bit of a higher level look. So
Yeah.
you have a world renowned
Bullshitter.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you have that, and details are purposefully vague, in kind of like see you at the big game kind of thing.
Yeah. Kind of like a dream sequence type.
Yeah, dream sequence, and it ultimately
Non-specificity.
ends up being that way. Okay, cool. So we have that. I really like this idea in overall concept. I think that we don't have to go into as depth as we did in this
I don't think we
retelling.
do either.
But
I was getting nervous.
no, I like the story. So you have somebody who is ultimately being treated for narcissism.
Yeah.
So it's like they plug.
Yeah, that's what I have. It doesn't have to be that way.
No. I'm into it. So this doctor plugs people in like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Where so they're plugged in like the Matrix, and they are put into a simulation where
like the world literally revolves
Yes,
around
the
them.
world
Like if
revolves
they're
around
not
them.
looking,
Yeah.
nothing's going on outside of their cognition, out of
Right.
what they're looking at.
And then eventually, at the end of the simulation, they die due to something that they take, or some action they take because they are trying to get their way and are used to getting
exactly.
their way. Okay.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It doesn't have to be that elevator specifically, but that's
Right.
the idea.
Okay.
Like they've never experienced consequences to their actions, but they do here.
Right. And when they die in the simulation, they wake up and they are then greeted by this doctor who...
He's not awake yet. He's still like it's just kind of blackness for him at this point after that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he it's not like he wakes up and sees these guys. He is in this room by himself with just a bed and the whatever cords and cables are keeping him in the simulation. And then on the other side, in a different room, is the server for the simulation with the computer analyst and the doctor himself.
Okay.
And they're talking about what just transpired.
Okay. And you're saying 75-80% of the way through the movie is the elevator death, or like 90%, and then there's just like a very, very small period of time where you're dealing with this doctor.
I would say 90-10 probably. It's kind of just like a...
Okay.
Yeah, that last bit is really short.
Okay, I see. Okay. Well, what I do like, I like the overall concept for sure. I think that it plays with a lot of different pieces from a lot of different sources. I feel like there's a lot of like different things baked into it that could keep people guessing. I think what could be interesting is if you intersperse scenes with the doctor throughout this whole thing.
I like that. Yes.
Where you're not sure, but it's never revealed until the very end that his procedure is taking place with with Jack.
Exactly. Yeah. You know they're up to something, but you have no way to connect Jack with these people, or even know that they're not actually in the same plane right now.
Right. So you integrate more of the doctor's story through the
especially because without that, it's really just a linear telling of events.
Right.
And
it's kind of like a tale of two narcissists. One is trying to treat the other one without realizing that he himself has this is suffering from the same issues that he's treating.
Yeah.
But the ending with this new kind of back and forth structure that we've got going on, I think that we keep that same kind of Inception type ending where you don't know if the top is going to fall or not.
Yes, that was probably my favorite part. Was just it's not guaranteed that he's in a simulation, but it's like, is he?
Yeah.
You know, at the very least, it causes you to reflect back on that doctor.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about kind of inspirations? I think that we have talked a little bit about what we could pull from.
Yeah. I was picturing with kind of a Black Mirror and the like technological social commentary type thing.
Yeah.
With also the confusion of the game with Michael Douglas.
Yeah. San Francisco.
So that's what. Hey, exactly. So you're kind of feeling for this guy, but you're like not, just because of the way he's like treating the rest of the people. Those were my big two when as I was writing it, trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got a little bit of like Truman Show and them too.
Yeah. Specifically from Black Mirror, it's got that ending with like the White Christmas episode where you realize this guy is just in the simulation and they put him in there for years trying to just get information out of him when it's not even he's giving up the information, but it's his simulation. It's not even the guy that's in the cell that's going to suffer for it. So yeah, that was the inspiration.
I like it. Did you have any people in mind when you were
I did not actually, and I was actually today trying to come up with something, and like literally nothing was coming to mind other than Michael Douglas in the main role, but they'd be like Michael Douglas from the 90s or
exactly.
That's the issue.
Okay, so you're trying to kind of think of someone who's in their like mid to late 40s, 50s maybe, or younger.
I was actually thinking younger. I was thinking maybe early 30s.
Early 30s. Okay.
Yeah, like young.
Okay.
Again, they have to look that way. The actor doesn't have to actually be.
Of course. Yeah.
A name that popped into my head was Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, yeah, because
given his struggle with
general social
anything,
yeah.
But that was that could have just been, that was the only name that came into my head.
Yeah, he's a little bit, from roles that I guess I have seen him in, he's a little bit more manic than I think
Yeah,
would
this
fit
guy's
here.
calm and content in his situation.
Yeah, so maybe someone like a John Hamm, but so like white. This goes back to the White Christmas again, but
Yeah, I know.
maybe younger at this point.
Well, John
see.
Hamm is in. Isn't he? He's in. I feel like he plays a role in a TV show where he sucks at everything, but because he's so good looking.
Oh
that
yeah, 30 Rock.
30 Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. So maybe we go John Hamm.
Honestly, I think John Hamm works in that role. Maybe the, because you're kind of trying to find two narcissistic people, but you know what? Who's the hero of this movie? There's like, it feels like there's no redeeming.
There really isn't. It doesn't seem that way. At least in what I have.
Right.
The only character you like actually don't hate is probably the computer analyst, who's like, he calls the doctor in some of his stuff, but they like to a minimal degree. He has very small role. I mean, it almost could be the main guy, because he has that realization as he's falling about how much it would suck to genuinely be the center of the universe, because that's the conclusion he comes to, where he puts together that people aren't moving when they don't know I can see them, and why they let me go on this. So it's almost like he's redeemed in that end, but then you're not even sure because he's asleep. He is on the table, and
Right.
you don't even know what's fully going on. So who could we add in where? The doctor's part or Jack's part to
Jack's
be the
part's kind of
redeemer?
hard because it's a simulation,
Exactly. That's
so
what
they're just
yeah.
fake.
And if you have the ending abrupt like that Inception type ending, it doesn't really leave room for anyone to come in.
I think you expand the role. I think we've done a good job of expanding the doctor's story through
Yes.
the whole story. I think you need to introduce a character there that is more of a positive influence or kind of moves people in. You need like a Conrad character from the game, and it
Yeah. Well, I think what's gonna have to happen is we're gonna have to change that ending, because it's like the game, but if the game ended when he shot Conrad, that's pretty much what this is.
okay,
Or
so
no, it's the game, but he ends when he jumps down and there's no inflatable thing. That's what this is.
yeah, it really doesn't have any sort of redeeming.
But not only is there nothing redeeming it, there's no good force. There's no side that you're rooting for. There's no character
Right.
that's really in this for good.
Okay, well, I think
So I think that's gonna just
I
take
think
some
that's gonna
rewrites.
have some rewrites. Maybe that'll do it for us.
Yeah, like we said, we cannot stress to you enough how much these are not coming soon.
Not coming soon. So, summary, we've got the story of two narcissists with no redeeming quality to either character. One of them is going through a simulation, the other is creating the simulation and is potentially in a simulation himself.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
casted John Hamm in one of the roles.
We were too busy on the story, the plot holes, that we didn't get to anybody else.
And let's just throw Michael Douglas in the other role.
Michael Douglas is the doctor. How about that?
Michael Douglas is the doctor treating John Hamm.
Love it.
Hey, failure is part of success.
100%. How many first drafts go anywhere, you know?
Exactly.
I dare say none. I think that brings us...
Yeah, I think that brings us to the next portion of our show today. Do you want to? Well, I guess I can talk about what we're gonna do. So after every movie that we throw around, we're going to play a little game similar to 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where
The real world example that people will actually understand.
yeah,
Contrary
exactly.
To where we actually got this.
where we have to present two actors and try to connect them through their movies and co-stars.
Yep.
So it is the non-pitcher's responsibility to present a pair of actors to try to stump the pitcher.
Yes.
All right. So today I have Natalie Portman and Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci.
I've got it in 2 moves.
You got it in 2 moves?
Yeah.
Okay. I was getting ready for the long con. I want to do it a certain way, and I'm not going to let myself venture from that, which is probably stupid.
Can I ask what way you want to do it?
I want to get to Stanley Tucci in Burlesque with Cher, and Cher is in Moonstruck with Nick Cage. That's what I want to do. I wanted to go from Nick Cage to... Okay, let's see. Nick Cage. Let me see if I can figure out what movie you used Natalie Portman. Did you start with an MCU movie?
Nope. On the Tucci side, yes.
On the Tucci side. Did you start with V for Vendetta? You did?
Mm-hmm.
To Hugo Weaving. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hugo Weaving to get to the MCU. To First Avenger. Yeah?
Yeah.
So First Avenger. And you got to Stanley Tucci from the First Avenger? Is he literally in? No. Is he in the First Avenger?
Yes. Yes.
Who is he in the First Avenger?
He's the Doctor.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Shoot. That was a good one.
Yeah.
My route was definitely worse.
Yeah.
And I was just, who else is in V for Vendetta? I couldn't think of anybody else.
Me neither.
Oh, isn't Stephen Fry? Stephen Fry's in it.
Yes. Yeah,
Stephen Fry's also in A Fish Called Wanda with Kevin Kline and John Cleese.
That
for
helps
like
you.
2 seconds. Yeah. Kevin Kline gets you to...
Exactly.
I can only think of Haley Joel Osment. It's not Haley Joel Osment. It's Edward James Olmos. Yeah. Hey, it gets to Edward James Olmos, which gets you to... We don't have to keep doing this.
Okay, so I think that's going to do it for us today. Thanks everyone for joining on our inaugural journey into Not Coming Soon.
Oof. Yes. Or if we've made it big and you're coming to see our humble origins, welcome.
Yeah, you probably needed to skip this one. That's okay.
No, hey, never forget where you came from. This was
yeah,
important.
you should never forget about it, but it doesn't have to live forever.
That's seems kind of mutually exclusive.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Let's sign out.
Until next time, I've been Ryan.
I've been Jeffrey. You know what? I'm going to go by Jeff. I'm going to go by Jeff on this pod.
Yeah, go with Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to go by Jeff.
Do it.
That's what I'm going to put on my SAG card.
On your what?
My SAG card.
Oh, yeah. It's true. Wow. Hey, one day.